Welcome to sitting. We'll get started. First of all, just finding a comfortable place for your lower body. So sit on a chair if you need to, spine tall, relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. Close your mouth. Breathe through your nose. Let's start the same as we did last week, some 3-part breath. 3-part breathing. Breathe in your lower belly, your mid belly, your upper belly. And exhale. So breathing in 3 parts. Lower, mid, upper. And exhale. Lower, mid, upper. Exhale. As you fill your lower lungs, your mid lungs, your upper lungs, feel the 3-dimensional space within you. The front, the back, the sides, filling evenly, filling lower lungs, mid lungs, upper lungs. Exhaling in one smooth exhale. One more round, breathing lower lungs, mid lungs, upper lungs. Exhale all the air out. And open your eyes. Switch the cross of your legs, other one in front. Take your hands together and start circling your hands around. So you go palm to palm and then circle round back to back, rolling on the edges of your hands as you transition from palm to palm to back to back. Gently mobilizing the small bones around the wrists and then change direction. Breath. And then press the heel of the hands down with your palms pressing against each other. Roll your shoulders back and lift your breastbone. Take your arms all the way up. Prayer above the head. Right hand to the floor. Left arm up and over. Side bend. And up and over the other way. Side bend. Opening into your side waist, side ribs. And all the way back up and come onto hands and knees. Spread your fingers. Circle your hips around so your tailbone draws a circle in the air behind you. Circle the other way. Loosen off in the hip joints, the lower spine. Come to center, bottom all the way back to your heels, arms reach out in front. Try and touch your forehead to the floor. You can put a block or a blanket under your forehead if it doesn't touch down. And then as you walk your fingertips out in front of you, press into the fingertips and lift the rest of your hand off the ground. So you're just on the tips of your fingers. Your palms have lifted, your wrists have lifted, your elbows are a bit higher, elbows as straight as you can. Breathe deeply into the space where your arms connect into your body. Breathe between your shoulder blades. Place your hands flat again. Come into downward facing dog. As you lift your hips up, we're just going to do a slow alternating from one knee bend to the other. So bend your right knee, straighten your left leg as you inhale. Switch the leg over as you exhale. Slow breath, inhale, switch. Exhale, switch. Inhale, switch. Exhale, switch. Inhale, both heels move their way downwards. Exhale, spreading your fingers, press the mat forwards with your hands and feel your hips driving further back in space. Feel like your tailbone is trying to reach toward the upper section of an imaginary circle. Walk your hands all the way back towards your feet, so you're at the back end of your mat. Bend your knees a lot, so your tummy rests close to your thighs. Look forwards along your mat. Squeeze the legs strongly against the bone, and then take your arms behind you, palms face up. Roll your shoulders back toward the fingertips. Push powerfully through your legs. Bring your arms all the way up as you inhale. Catch hold of your right wrist and lean over toward the left. Inhale as you come up. Exhale, catch hold of the left wrist and exhale across to the right. Inhale as you come up. Exhale as you bring your arms behind. Catch hold of your right wrist again behind you, or the forearm or the elbow, and let your head fall to the left. Inhale, head to center, switch over so your other hand catches behind, and drop your head away from the straight arm. Go back up to center, take your arms all the way up, interlace your fingers, make a pistol point so your index fingers are pointing to the ceiling. Inhale, get longer, press from your feet to your fingertips. Exhale across to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale across to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, cactus shape your arms, elbows press back, forearms wide. Point your forearms down. And then reach your arms straight back, balancing on your right leg. Stretch your left leg out behind. And then as your left leg lifts, reach long through the leg, reach long through your arms. Hug your belly in, open up the chest. Both feet come to the floor. Swoop your arms all the way back up again. Interlace your fingers again, but lead with the opposite thumb. So your fingers are interlaced the other way. Index fingers point up, get long, inhale. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, center. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, center. Exhale, cactus shape your arms, elbows pressing wide and back. Inhale, forearms point down. Exhale, arms reach out behind. This time slide your right leg back and reach the right leg off the floor behind you. Arms long behind, leg long behind. Squeezing into the back line of your body, buttock muscles engaged. If you struggle with your balance, touch the toe to the floor. Both feet to the ground. Inhale, swoop your arms up as you inhale. Exhale, arms by your side as you bend in your legs, chair pose. Arms point back, palms face upwards. Bow forwards over your thighs, interlace your fingers, point your index fingers toward the sky, let your head fall down. Roll the shoulders toward your index point. Notice which thumb is leading the way, your dominant one. Bend the knees a little, place your hands down onto the floor and walk forwards, coming into onto hands and knees first of all, and then down into Sphinx position. So lower your forearms to the floor, hips to the floor, and press down into the ground, lift up your chest. In Sphinx, press through your pubic bone, engage in the belly. Roll the shoulders back a little. See if you can feel nice and long through your spine. So from your legs extending out behind and then long through the center of your spine to the top of your head. Long and streamlined. And then slide your forearms slightly outwards as your chest lowers a little. Hug your belly muscles in and see if you can hover either your forearms and elbows off the floor, being on your fingertips like you did in the child's pose. So you've got a little bit of support with the fingers touching the floor. Or you can hover the forearms completely off the ground with your hands off the floor. Get long in your spine, strong in your belly. So we want to try and keep the core muscles hugging in. Take your arms all the way down by your side, palms face upwards. Stretch the legs longer and float your legs up off the ground. Keep hugging in the belly. Lift through the inner seam of your legs. Still breathing through your nose smoothly and consistently. Spread your toes out, get longer in your toes so they pull your legs longer, like each individual toe is being pulled out behind. And then lower down. Push your bottom back to your heels. Child's pose. Stretch your arms out in front, this time hands flat to the floor. Try and keep the wrists, elbows, and upper arms off the ground straight. Press into the palms, keep the rest of the arm as much as you can off the floor. Downward facing dog. One more breath, drawing your hips back away from your hands. And then look forwards between your hands, walk your way up to the top of the mat. At the top of the mat, take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers with the other thumb leading the way, your less dominant thumb, and then point your index fingers up toward the ceiling, drawing your chest as close to the thighs as you can. Fingers point straight up and the crown of the head pointing down. Bend your knees a lot so your arms can rest on your back, and then release your hands so your fingers are touching the floor. Take a big stride back with your left leg, bending your front knee. Look just along the front line of your mat and squeeze your legs into the pelvis so your legs feel stronger. Hover your fingertips off the floor and then take your arms by your side, palms face upwards. Long from the back heel out through the crown of your head, long in the sides of the waist. 2 more breaths. Pushing upwards through the back of your arms, 1 more breath. Come upright with your torso, straighten your front leg and turn the back heel to the floor. Try and have your heels in line with each other. Wriggle the back foot a bit longer, a bit further out if you need to for warrior 2. Arms open, look over your right arm, bend into your right knee. Glance down and see your big toe inside the knee. And then take your gaze over your right arm. Hug your belly in. Try and sense that the drop of your left shoulder lines up with the left hip. Keep your right arm reaching way out in front and start to straighten your right leg. Keep reaching forwards with your right arm. Once your right leg is virtually straight, you can keep a micro bend in the knee. Then bring your right hand down onto your shin, or if you've got a block, onto the block. Roll the right ribs under and take the left arm up. If you can then take your fingertips to touch the floor, do, or your hand on the floor. Squeeze your tailbone under and be supported with a block if you need to. 2 more breaths, triangle pose. Sense your right knee pulling up the center of your right thigh. 1 more breath. Look down, bend the right leg again, hands to the floor, lifting the back heel. Step to downward facing dog. Go back to the slow heel walks. 1 leg bends, 1 leg straightens. And then switch to the other leg. Inhale, switch. Exhale, switch. Inhale, both legs straighten. Exhale, waist long, reaching the tailbone toward the top of the pelvic circles like you were doing earlier. See your kneecaps engage up the center of your thighs. 1 more breath. Look forwards, walk your feet up to the top of the mat. Take your hands behind you. This time, no index fingers pointing. And take your arms up and over the best you can. This time, instead of pointing up to the ceiling, see if you can take your arms further overhead, rolling your shoulders away from your ears as the arms go over. Bend the knees a lot, look at the front of your mat, hands to the floor. Step your right leg back, pause. Squeeze the left hip in. Get stronger in your legs. Feel your legs engaging into your pelvis, into your core. Hover your fingers off the floor. Roll your shoulders back, arms point back. Be long in the sides of your waist. And as your shoulders roll back, get long out through the neck, to the top of the head. As you look at the left knee, it's right over the left ankle. Your toes are pointing forwards. Take your arms all the way up, straighten the left leg. Turn your right heel to the floor and adjust the leg if you need to, so you've got a nice long stride. Arms open, level the line of your hips. Bend into the left knee. Glance down, see your big toe inside the left knee, and then glance over your left arm. Strong and straight through your right leg, the right little toe pressing toward the floor. Keep reaching forwards with your left arm like your fingers are stuck in the air there as you start to straighten your left leg out, drawing the left knee up through the thigh so you can feel that knee stays engaged to the thigh. And then let your left hand come down, maybe onto your shin, turn the left ribs under, right ribs open. And then maybe taking your hand down onto the floor or onto a block, triangle pose. 2 more breaths. Lengthen from your tailbone out through the top of your head. On your next exhale, look down, bend your knee and swoop your hands down to the floor, downward facing dog. Spread your fingers, draw your hips up and back. This time shift forwards to a plank position, so your shoulders line over your thumbs. Your legs might have to go back a little. Straight line from your heels to the shoulders to the top of the head. And then we're moving into a few yin poses. So knees go down, forearms go down. Come back to your Sphinx again. And we're holding it a bit longer this time, and some of you might want to use a bolster for these few yin poses that we do. So if you're going to take a bolster, then take it underneath your forearms. So that it brings your Sphinx a bit higher, a deeper back bend. Get long out through your legs. Press down through the forearms so you get nice and long through the spine. We're doing a 2-minute yin pose, then a 3-minute yin pose, then a 4-minute yin pose, and a 5-minute yin pose. Starting this one on 2. Let your breath slow down. None of the big muscle groups engaging so much now, so you can you need less oxygen to supply the fuel for big movements. If you can just kind of slow down. There's a little bit of muscle strength to keep you extended in this spinal position, but with each yin pose we do, getting more and more into rest. If you're on a bolster, you can just carefully push that aside and make your way back to a child's pose. So now a 3-minute yin pose. We're doing 1 minute in a central child's pose, 1 minute in a side child's pose, and then the other minute at the other side. So for now, just having your arms extended in front, your hips back, and then relax. Each time you exhale over your out and sink into a deeper fold in your legs. Take it to a side child's pose, so you angle your chest over one thigh, hands off the side of the mat. Try and let your head travel evenly between your arms. Breathe into the longer side of your body. Breathe into that lung on that side of the body. Breathe into the ribs on that side of the body. Walk your hands into center and go with your chest over the other thigh and nipple either side of the thigh and your hands off the other side of the mat. Breathing again into the long side of your body. Let the breath carry with it calming waves. Any of these deeper stretches are done with kindness. There's a gentleness within them, even though sometimes they might feel mildly intense. And then back into center again. Make your way up to downward facing dog. And walk your feet to your hands. So then you can sit down. Once you've sat down, take your bolster behind you and use a block or a rolled blanket if you haven't got a bolster or if the bolster's too big. So we're going to go up and over the bolster into a back bend. So some of you might like to put a block for your head to rest on behind. Legs straight. The bolster goes over around your mid-back area. And then when you go back, your head can either rest on a block or a cushion, or you can let your head go to the floor. Your bottom and your head are on something, not just hanging in the air. Then relax your legs. Let your arms drape either wide or overhead. Remember, you can go in progressively. So you could start off with your head on a block, just so that your spine starts to mold itself into this back bend. And then you could maybe see after a minute or so whether you're comfortable taking the block out. Same with your arms. You could start off with your arms out wide. And then after a minute or so, you could just take them up a little bit higher and then so on a little bit higher again after a bit longer. Work so that there's a mild intensity to the opening in your body. It feels a nice deep back bend for what your spine feels okay with. But that it's maybe pushing you beyond the boundaries of just your everyday movements. Any electric pain, anything that doesn't feel right, you come out and lessen the height in which you're laying over. The principles of yin to be at the edge of the boundary between comfort and discomfort. So there's an element of discomfort, but it's within a comfortable range. There's your edge, your boundary. Second is stillness. Be still, let your body start to relax in this shape. Bringing space into certain areas and compression into other areas. Bringing stimulation into certain meridian lines and energy lines that connect with the health and well-being of your body and your mind. The third principle is time. As you know, we stay in these yin poses for a bit longer than you might if you were doing a flow yoga class. So lingering long enough that your body starts to soften and the muscles detach from gripping. Then we start to really open into the deeper layer of tissues and the fascia and get nourishment into the joints. Couple more breaths. Your hands come behind your head to lift your head up first. Once your head's up and you're looking at your feet, use your elbows down on the bolster to press up. Sit straight for a moment, hands on your legs or floor, and pause. Notice the feeling in the back and the front of your body as they start to normalize. Coming back to regular shape. Taking just a twist before we go into the next yin pose. If you cross your right foot to the outside of the left knee and wrap your left arm around, just gently twisting round toward the bent leg. Try and sit taller. And maybe just roll your chest round a bit further. Come back to center, straighten out your right leg, left foot to the outside of your right knee, right arm around the left leg. Gentle twist. Bit taller, twist a little deeper. And then back to center, straighten that leg out. Place your hands on the floor, make fists. Push into your fists so your bottom lifts a little. Lower your bottom back down. You could use your bolster if you want to for this as we take a plain forward fold over the legs. So sit bones back. Anyone who struggles forward bending, what's a really nice alternative to this is to go to your nearest wall. Get your bottom on the edge of the wall. Roll onto your back so that your bottom is still close to the wall, you're perpendicular to the wall, and your legs straighten up. Legs up the wall pose is a really great alternative If your back particularly doesn't like the forward bend or struggles with the forward bend or it's uncomfortable. This way, you're still getting some openness in the back of the legs. It brings a great blood flow into the spine and it soothes the spine rather than compressing it. Change the bolster's height accordingly as you go forwards in your forward bend. This is our 5-minute yin pose. We've been here for over a minute now though. Go in patiently. It's a great quality to practice in our yoga practice anyway, but yin lends itself particularly to practicing patience. Patience is harder to execute when we're short on time. So because we're holding the poses for longer, it's easier to feel you can instill patience. So you're not in such a rush to get to the end result or to jump back out and move into the next pose. Enjoy having some time here. See what that can bring, what new layer that can bring to your practice. Remember that if you're not feeling the edge, the resistance, then you go in a little further. Feel your torso moving closer toward the thighs, but at the same time, keeping your torso long. Notice if you just, rather than going any deeper, every now and then just try and get longer in your torso. And notice that adds just the same extra intensity as trying to get flatter, closer to the legs would. So longer as well as going toward the legs. And then slowly make your way back up. Pause again, sitting straight. Take your bolster underneath the back of your knees and lie down on your back with the knees supported. Let your pelvis be heavy and then relax your arms. Let's feel now that the 3 parts of the breath slightly differently. Breathe into your lungs. Breathe into your whole body. Breathe in beyond your body, outside the skin, like you're breathing the energy around you, and then exhale. Breathe in lungs. Breathe in body. Breathe in outside the body. Exhale. Do that a few more times, a few more rounds. Breathe in lungs. Breathe in whole body. Breathe into your subtle body, the energy body. Exhaling, relaxing. It encourages you to take deeper, slower breaths, but it also encourages you to feel beyond just one space, beyond just the physical, and puts us into a really beautiful shavasana where we're energizing our vitality, our pranic flow. Do one more round of that specific breathing focus. After a long exhale, breathe normally without having to think about your breath, but it will naturally be a little deeper probably anyway. Just be completely at ease. Bathe in the calm that your yoga practice has created. An inner calm, a calm aura space, even maybe the energy surrounding you feels calmer. Bathe in it all. Take one final breath before bringing your feet up onto your bolster or feet flat to the floor. Tilt the pelvis just gently a little back and forwards. Even if you don't tilt the pelvis, just applying a bit of pressure through the feet will help a tiny pelvic tilt both ways. And then as you push the bolster away, turn onto your side. Use your arms to help you come up to sitting. Sit however is comfortable. Bring the hands together, bow your head towards your hands. Silently saying to yourself, my timeline is divine, I'm right where I'm meant to be. Putting trust and faith into your connection with the universal field that guides and supports you, us, when we start to put ourselves into the flow of that, into tune with it. My timeline is divine. I'm right where I'm meant to be. Thank you all. Namaste.